Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling you need some kind of change. Standing tall on the wings of my dream, rise and fall on the wings of my dream. Rain and thunder, wind and haze, bound for better days. It's my life and my dream, nothing's gonna stop me now.
All right, welcome to TGIF. Tanner Grover invites friends. It is day number 15,569 of being me, and I love iconic duos, right? We got Michael and Scotty. That's an obvious one. Another hardwood one. We got Kareem and Magic. How about Kobe and Shaq? You know what? Let's bring it into bigger pop culture, right? How about Lloyd and Harry, Timon and Pumbaa, Beavis and Butthead? All of them great iconic duos, but they all compare in comparison to the two guys that I have on here today. They dominated the Maine high school hardwood at the turn of the century, the Deering Rams, one of whom is being entered into the Maine Basketball Hall of Fame this Sunday. I'm talking about Nik-Caner Medley, and I'm not going to call him a sidekick. That would be a slight. All right. This guy, as far as I know, is in the running for Maine Mall Customer of the Year. We're talking about Walter Phillips. Nick, Walt, how you guys doing?
Doing great, Tanner. It's a pleasure to be on, and I appreciate you having us. And I appreciate the intro too. It's very kind of you.
Appreciate it, man. It's great to be on here. Love to talk to you. Love talking to you. You're doing a great job, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like every time I enter into Portland, there's a 50-50 shot I'm going to run into Walt somewhere. Nick, I haven't seen you in decades. But the first thing that we like to do on this podcast is establish our DOF, our date of friendship, right? It really is a show about friendship, and we're going to explore your friendships. But when do you remember maybe meeting me, or what your first impressions of me might be, if you can?
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. So my first impression, or my first time that I remember meeting Nick, is actually right down the street from where I'm at right now in Deering Center. We used to play pickup baseball at the Deering Little League field, right behind the field in Deering. And our mutual friend Jamal Katerina brought me down there to play basically like sandlot baseball. And I think we might have been like 9 or 10 or something like that. And we played pickup baseball, and I think that was the year I moved schools to Longfellow, and that's when we really became really good friends, as far as I remember. But their first meeting was at the Deering Little League fields.
And I would second that, but Tanner, Walter, as you can imagine, I had to deal with it all throughout middle school and high school. I think he misunderstood the instruction. I think the first time we met, Tanner, was it must have either been at the Expo or at a game in Deering. I think it was early on in high school. And you can correct me if I'm wrong there. But the one I remember vividly about the first time we met, one is how kind you are as a human being, and your great energy. Your energy was extremely positive, and that was my takeaway. And I've followed you since, and I've appreciated invites to your birthday bashes. I haven't been able to make one yet, but I intend to at some point, hopefully. But yeah, that was my recollection. I'll be interested to hear if you can refresh my memory a bit. But Walt, do you remember the first time you met Tanner?
Yeah, I remember the first time I met Tanner was at the Boothbay tournament when we were in like 5th or 6th grade. That was the first time I think I met him. But I think that's the first time. I think it was in like 5th or 6th grade, something like that, because I think you still got the videos from like when we was in 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah, so my mother was always running around with a camcorder back in the day. And the first time I think we ever like encountered one another. It was actually in Yarmouth. It was at the Clipper Classic tournament in 1994. It was actually on my birthday. That's why I remember that. And we were the Boothbay squad, tiny little town, going up and playing these Portland area teams. And what I remember about that tournament was you guys were in 2 tournaments in the same weekend. And so we were fighting our way through the losers bracket, and you were in the winners bracket, and half of your squad wasn't there for like that first game. And we got you guys by 2. And then like we're thinking, all right, man, we're good. We can get the next one. And then all of a sudden, Jamal and Jake Estrella and all these dudes roll in, and we're like, holy shit, this is like the real team. And you guys waxed us by 30 something. So that was my first memory of you guys.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
I remember that because we used to have to play the Brunswick tournament and the Lewiston tournament. I think it was the same weekend. I think that's what it was. Because me and Nick are a year younger than y'all. So we played basically we played our 7th graders in one game, and then our 8th graders went to the other one. And that's when they came back.
Yeah, and that was like kind of like our big first foray into like getting out of the mid coast area. And for us, that was when we realized, like, all right, Lincoln Middle, you guys were like the top dogs in our eyes, and we had to figure out, like, all right, every time we entered the tournament for the weekend, we took a look at the bracket and we're like, all right, when are we going to match up with these guys? When's it going to happen? Because we were beating people up where we were from, like there wasn't a whole lot of competition. So we really looked forward to getting a crack at you guys. But that Boothbay tournament that you're talking about, Walt, I have a photo right here. And that was my 8th grade year, your 7th grade year. See if you remember this photo.
Oh my, you got the picture. Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
So what can you tell me about the dudes in this photo?
Oh man, that's all family, man. I have not. Oh my God, I ain't seen this in a while. Got Coach Huntington out there. I love this photo because I'm taller than Medley in this, so I'm gonna keep that one. I'm gonna keep that. But yeah, I remember that tournament. Maul still got a little fro too. Yeah, everybody. So what? We got Greg Placey, Mark Faulkner, Mavadonis. That's Jay Castarella. That's Maul. Meds in the middle. And who's at the bottom though? In the red. I'm not sure who that is in the red. But then Coach Huntington, obviously, man, great coach. Coached us, stayed with us for a long time, and was one of our coaches at high school. So gotta show some love.
So I think one thing I want to ask you guys, because I can give you the Boothbay story, like what it was like for us growing up and like our relationship to ball. And like that's how I refer to it as. Like to me, I feel like I have a like lifelong relationship with ball. And it just connects me to like all these different great people. Right. But for you guys growing up in the Portland area, Lincoln Middle, in the Deering, Walt, I know you went to Chevrolet as a freshman, I believe, and then back over to Deering. But what was that like? What was your youth like? What was the after school routine of Nik Medley, Walter Phillips? How do you guys operate?
Yeah. First of all, I couldn't. A lot of my best memories, childhood memories, involve basketball. A lot of them involve, Walter and Jamal and through middle school. And I think the interesting thing about it is first after school, any opportunity we had, I don't think during the weekends and then after school until we would either find somewhere that had lights or we would use our parents' cars' headlights as light. Or street lights. Like we played as much as we possibly could. And I think our passion for the game at that time was probably, for me, I can speak for myself, at its strongest, and I think a lot of it was championships. Being able to play with Walt, Jamal, and some of the great memories we have playing outside, to me, always stick with me. And I would say, to your direct question around our routine, it was always finding a gym or finding a hoop to play, whether it was at the fire station, whether it was Mark Madison's house until he gave us his hoop and was like, and let us take it, and we dragged it all the way from his house to my house, me and Walt did, which was a couple miles. Or playing at Deering or trying to get to Riverton Open gyms, always trying to find a gym, Payson Park. It was truly, playing as much as possible at all times.
Yeah, is that kind of in line with what you remember, Walt? He might have turned his mic off for a minute.
Got into the frame there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Memories.
we had a charger issue.
Oh,
No,
good.
so you get it again. That's my guy. Hey man, he's here to cut hair. He ain't here to be a producer. No, so I mean, me and Nick, every day after school we played. We played on an 8-foot rim, which me and Nick have always discussed is probably the best thing for us when we were young kids. Because we always want the same moves that we wanted to accomplish when we were younger as the same moves we used when we got older. And we just had already basically trained our bodies to do that. But we played every day outside on pavement. And then when we could, I think we got to like 12 or 13 is when we started playing with the grown men, which really helped us out in like the Payson Park area. Back when we grew up, the competitive runs were everything. It's clearly not the same anymore, but it was just so good for us to have all these competitive, really good, overseas players and, guys that played in college that really helped guide me. I don't mean, Nick can speak for himself as far as that's concerned, but I know that a lot of those guys helped me learn and helped my game to grow. And a lot of those, same guys, I saw when I was coming up in high school and just were very proud of the accomplishments that we were able to do just because they knew that a lot of the information that we got from them when we were 12 or 13 is the same stuff we used, throughout our basketball careers.
Yeah. So, you go into high school, right? And I know for us at Boothbay, like we had never won a state championship. There was a lot of kind of pressure around that for us. And not so much my senior year. There was less of it. More of it my junior year. We were like 21-0 and lost in the state final. But what I remember most about that whole experience was like we were kind of treated like rock stars. It was weird. I mean, I can't even like begin to tell you how many like autographs we signed for what purpose. I have no idea. I don't know why these little kids in Boothbay would want, my autograph or, the other manager's autograph or whatever. But somewhere all these, things exist. And so I was just curious, like, for you guys, do you feel like you had a similar experience in that regard, or what was your approach like within those 4 years?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there was a little bit of a balance, which I think was good for us. A lot of our close friends and a lot of the culture at Deering, a lot of our friends thought it was cool, but they didn't think it was anything too special or incredible. They treated us the same way they treated anybody else. And I think that was valuable for us. We were extremely competitive amongst ourselves. So I can honestly say my memories of especially early, I think we knew that we thought that we were that good. Other we're at and for me and Walter, Jamal was the bar, especially coming up through middle school and high school. And so, I had the bar and kind of competitive. I did as good as Jamal. So, then as we started to progress to sophomore year and then junior year, had some success and started to win a bunch of games. And for me personally, when college recruitment came into the mix, I think there was a little bit more attention to it. And a lot of the positive attention, frankly, came from outside schools when we'd go to other schools. We had a ton of support at Deering, but I do think that there was a really cool dynamic where at Deering, teachers to the students to our peers and friends, they treated us like we were one of them, no different because we hooped. And I think that was something as I look back that was pretty cool about our experience.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
for me, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I think Nick said it perfectly. We never were treated differently at Deering at all. It was more of the outside stuff. But I mean, for us, it was kind of normal just because really around like because we were in eighth grade when Maul was in ninth grade, and watching him you know, having to go through like autographs and people wanting his stuff and stuff like that. Because I think it was like the second or third game Jamal played, he was on the front page of the paper. And they were talking about him being one of the top players in the state as a freshman. And that was like the second or third game that he played. So, I mean, we just thought it was really normal. I mean, obviously looking back on it now and seeing a lot of this stuff as an adult now, it maybe doesn't seem normal, but it just for us when we were coming up, that's just how it felt. And nobody really, fed into it and I know I know our parents weren't going to allow us to feel some type of way on that either. That wasn't going to happen. So, we just made it just felt normal to us at some point.
yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone on like a Boothbay team felt like, separated from, teachers or anything like that, or put on a pedestal in that regard. It was more of a community wide thing, where it was like, we couldn't go to the grocery store without getting, hit up by people. And it was just a constant focal point of conversation. And you did have to like kind of, have some sort of lens to keep perspective on everything. So it was but and I don't know if that's unique to like small towns, I think of like the Valley Boys and how like if you live in Bingham, Maine, basketball teams to be like all they have. But if you get into a larger area, you've got like, more going on and just I don't know, I don't want to say more cultured, but maybe just like a healthier perspective on how to stay balanced and stay fulfilled.
No, I mean,
But
I know for me, it's the same. So the same situation that you guys feel as far as going to the grocery store, going to restaurants or going anywhere, there's always a conversation about it. And that's been since I was 15 years old. There's always a conversation. There's always somebody talking about basketball. There's always somebody talking about a specific game. Most of the time it's the Bangor game. But I mean, no matter where I've gone in the last 15 years, whether it's you and not even just in Portland, anywhere I go as far as inside of Maine and sometimes even outside of Maine, or I'm in New England somewhere, somebody's bringing up some part of basketball or something that they've seen, 10 or 15, 20 years ago. It's just something that, we live with, or I know I live with every day. And it's a good thing, it just means that you made an impression on people. Most of the time it's really, it's positive unless you're bringing up the Bangor situation, because everybody feels that they can coach that game. But other than that, I mean, it's positive and, you made a positive influence on, some people's lives. And, even now, some guys that are like 24, 25, they're like, yo, it was one of the best times of my life watching y'all play basketball and, giving out that love and being able to go to the game. So it's pretty cool in that respect.
Yeah, I had a lot more of it back from Maryland. When I was in our junior and senior year, I think it started to be when I committed to Maryland after my junior year, going into my senior year, kind of a mixed bag of folks that felt like that I was going to go to Maryland, be there for a year and have to transfer back because I wasn't good enough. And then people that were really supportive, most knew me well and knew how competitive I was and felt like I was going to be successful at Maryland. And then when I went to Maryland and had success my freshman year and was starting as a freshman, I think from then on, everything that you experienced in Boothbay, and I think it's a really great point you made about the Valley team and, the small town element. Not to say Portland's a big town, I would just say relatively speaking. When I came back from Maryland, all that stuff really started to happen, whether it be, going to anywhere I went, there was a lot of attention and stuff like that. So I think it really started to ramp up for me during those years.
So, let me get like more current, right? So now, relationship with basketball, you guys are both dads, right? And I know Walt, you're into it with your son Demetrius, and you just had the SummerSlam, right? 3-on-3. So what's that? Was it year number 7?
See,
Uh,
I
it-
mean, you talk about him and then he appears. You gotta get closer to the camera. You talk about him and then he appears. He's still a little smaller than me, so I can still whoop him. But he played in SummerSlam 2 days ago and got the MVP. And I think the coolest thing, which we didn't acknowledge, but I will when they post the picture, is that there's a picture of Demetrius as a baby and Nick's holding him, and a picture of Nick now handing him his MVP trophy. And it's his godfather. That's his godfather. That's the man, so it's a really cool experience to see that transition from baby to MVP and watch those two kind of have their own moment as far as that's concerned. That was the coolest part of SummerSlam for me.
100%. And question, you're 16. We do
He's
the
14.
game for boys and girls, and then we do high school game for boys and girls. And Demetrius got the MVP for the Rising Stars game, which was, as Walter said, a really, really cool moment for me. One, it's one of those moments I'm sure we've all had where we realize that we're getting old. But another one, the work he's putting in, and I'm also proud of Walt as a dad, the job he's done raising Demetrius. He's such a great kid. He's working really, really hard. His improvement year over year is great. And I don't think Demetrius knows how closely I follow him, and I don't want to add any extra pressure or anything to him, but Walter talk about him all the time, and Walter's extremely proud of him, and I'm proud of him, and his whole family is, and it's going to be really exciting to see his progress because he's a really good player. He cares. He's got the work ethic, and he's got the genetics. Walter was a very good player, obviously, and very athletic, and I think just still in the initial his development. And I think he's going to be one of those bloomers in high school where, he's got a chance to be really good. And our job, family and inner circle is to make sure he knows and has the positive affirmations that he can be really good, but also doesn't get too ahead of himself and realizes that there's still a lot of work to do. And no matter what stage you're at, a lot of work.
I just love the fact that this is like a full circle moment, right? Like when they say that phrase, like basketball is life, like that's what that is, right? Like that's really what that is. And I mean, in terms of like pressure or whatever, my only like advice that I would ever offer anyone is just to live in the moment, right? And like enjoy the MVP of the SummerSlam and enjoy every step of the way. And I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that, he's going to be a great player and go on to do great things. And let me just ask you this, though. In terms of like the game itself, how do you think, like, I know how I think it's evolved since, we were in that early 2000s era, but now it's like it's really positionless, right? I mean, it really is a skill based game. And for me, like, I haven't coached now in 9 years, but I kind of tried to keep up with, where it's headed. And I feel like trainers are the people that have the pulse of like where the game is headed, And I've seen the highlight reels that Walt has posted of Demetrius online, and like that dude is skilled, right? Like I would argue he might be more skilled, no offense, than either of you guys. You know what I mean? And the dude can really do some things with the
Yeah.
ball. You know, so I don't know.
Well,
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll tell you right now. I tell him all the time. I've said this, and I want to make sure I say this on the public. He's a better basketball player at his age than I was, and it's not even close. But I also say that he had a way better trainer than I had, growing up. So I'm gonna get my win right there. That's how I'm gonna get my win back. He got a better trainer. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, I actually was gonna speak on this, later on this week about it. But when I started training, I mean, Nick was the first person that said that I should be, that I should do this training thing as a business. And I started training when Nick was at Maryland, and I trained all the way up and through till COVID. Um, and you learn so many things over the years with so many different people and so many different situations. You work with young kids, you work with older kids, you work with girls, you work with boys. So there's always these different avenues where you work. And to be honest, Demetrius got in the perfect time because I just had so much information and so many different experiences that I made sure that I gave him, every part of information that I got from every single person that I trained. And I got, certain things from every single person. He's done a great job of being a really good student. There's still that dynamic of, father and son, which, as Nick and me both know, it's not always, a good one when you're trying to be competitive. But the good thing with Demetrius is that even if we have a disagreement or argument, 5 or 10 minutes after that, we're all good. It's just one of those things. And, that's the one thing that I do appreciate about him is that he understands, and he also understands that his dad's been through, a lot with basketball, good, bad, or indifferent as a player and as a coach. And he understands that what I'm saying is, coming from a good place. But, just like a lot of things, everybody doesn't want to hear from their father in certain situations. So we've done a pretty good job of figuring that out. And he's seen the results and likes it and, continues to want to push himself to be great. He also takes a lot from his uncle. I mean, he wants to be seen in that same space. He was there when we had Cooper at Blue Wave, when we had JP Estrella, when we had Dominic Campbell, and he sees that it's possible to do that. And he sees his uncle, he sees Troy Barney's play professional. So he knows that it's possible. Hopefully, he's got a pretty good blueprint, so far. And he's followed it, and he's going to continue to follow it as long as he can. And he knows his dad is going to be by his side the entire time until his journey's over. And where that journey ends, for me, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be there every step of the way regardless. But, if he wants to take it to that next level, and I'm here for it.
So Nick, what about you? You got a daughter? Is she going to be a hooper?
I hope so. I'll tell you, she's going to be tall. She's 6 now, so she's still kind of learning her passions. And I think to Walter's point, whatever it is that she's passionate about, I'm going to be 100% in her corner and supportive. But I tell her all the time, and she laughs and knows I'm serious at the same time. But she's really, at 6 years old, her handle and her coordination, she's got great wingspan and all the intangibles, I think, physically that'll give her all the foundation that she needs. And it's just going to be a matter of if she loves the game. And it's an interesting thing you'd mentioned at the top of the convo, that relationship with basketball and that basketball life and how it really becomes part of who you are as a person. And it's one of those things where you either have it or you don't, right? Like you love them and you fall in love and why and all steps into where that happens at what point in your life. And then, or you don't. And then there's some people that don't love the game. I mean, I think there's people in the NBA that don't really love the game as much as some people that haven't had a chance to play at that level. That passion, that commitment, that, live, eat, and breathe it. So it's going to be interesting and exciting for me to see how that goes. And, again, if she falls in love with the game, I'm going to be here in her corner 100%. If she doesn't, and it's something else, which I'm sure it would be something else, I'm going to be there for her and look forward to sweetheart, She's got great energy. She's really smart. She's very kind. She's very humble, which to me, those things to me are what's most. I'm excited to see how the grow and her passion kind of leads her towards.
That's great, man. I think if Caitlin Clark is on the LeBron trajectory, she's got some competition headed her way. So that's what I want to see.
We got the second one too. I got the second one. She's gonna be ready too. We got the baby girl gonna be ready too. Trust me on
I'll
that.
tell you, I met her in the Maine Mall actually,
Yeah.
and dude, she's got bounce. Well, I mean, she was
yeah.
dancing to
Yeah.
they're playing music over the speaker. She was dancing the whole time. She was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. She got the footwork down. We've already worked on defensive slides because I made a mistake with Demetrius on that, so I got to start that process earlier.
I love it.
Yeah, I had to
Let
start
me,
that process earlier.
I want to transition away from basketball a little bit because the podcast is about friendships, about getting to know people a little bit better, right? And I'm really big into movies and music. And Nick, earlier this year, you were at a Bush concert. How was Bush?
It was incredible. It really special night. My wife Shawnee surprised me with tickets. I think we probably all have our go-to song on the jukebox. And that was always my go-to song growing up. To the extent where there was one time in Lake Placid in the Adirondacks where my family and I used to spend a lot of our summers. And I was asked first I was told if I played Bush one more time on the jukebox, I'd be asked to leave. And I did play the jukebox and I was asked to leave. So that just shows how much I'm a fan of that group and their music. And it was such an incredible show, such an incredible night. And really, really grateful that Shawnee had gotten me those tickets because it was a special to remember.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I a couple weeks ago, Everclear came to the Gardner Opera House, so I went and checked that out. And they're like 60 years old or whatever, but they're playing all that, all those songs you hear on the radio all the time. And like they still got it. Like bad respect to anyone from the 90s still going out and killing it. Walt, what about you? You been to any shows recently?
I'm actually about to go see Onyx at Oxbow in the next couple weeks. And I hope, because I've been following it, Ben Shore, a kid that we went to school with, has been traveling with them through Europe. So I think he's opening up for them at Oxbow in Portland. So I'm hoping to catch up with Ben and see Onyx see Slam
Yeah,
for the
or
first
Slam
time. So
Harder.
yeah, exactly.
That's great, man. One thing I do
Yeah.
down in Boothbay, I started last year. We have a local movie theater. So I used to try to write like movie scripts, and I wrote like a web series once upon a time called Pick and Roll. It was terrible, but whatever. They made it. It was fun. But anyway, so what I do, I rent out the theater. It's not that expensive, and then I show a free community movie once a month. And I like to show things that kind of like I want to see on the big screen, so it's a little bit selfish, but we do things where we have like a film scorecard, and people can rate the movie, make recommendations, and then we have a little Q&A afterwards. So my question is, if you were to come to one of my movie nights, what's something that you guys would want to see on the big screen, maybe that you've never seen before?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll let you go on that one first.
So what was the name of where my head immediately goes is what was the name of that high school story about the kids from Chicago?
Hoop Dreams.
Hoop Dreams. Would that be cool to see Hoop Dreams on the big screen? Because I've seen it VHS, used to watch that movie over and over
Religiously.
again by that story, and just the organic how it started similar to us, just started playing side and the passion for the game and just playing and playing and playing. So for me, that without a doubt, that would be it. Dreams would be epic to watch on the big screen.
That's a great one. I remember renting that from my local video store, double VHS on that one.
I'd rent it
I
and
got
then rent it again, and then I'd rent it again.
I got a good one for you. What about Blue Chips?
Blue Chips is a good one with Shaq
Yeah, and Penny.
and Penny. And what was the coach's name? The actor's name?
It's
Nick
Nick
Nolte.
Nolte.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Hey, 48 Hours is still a classic. Let me tell you something.
yeah.
And
And then
Nick
one
Nolte.
with Ray Allen.
Oh, he got
Oh,
game. I don't know if we
right.
could put that on the big screen.
Too.
That's a classic.
Yeah, you can do anything with a disclaimer. It's funny. So, like, a lot of the movies I want to show, are probably a little inappropriate. We got a lot of older folks that live down here in Boothbay, and I just, I got to be mindful. I don't want to give anyone a heart attack, So,
Yeah, that might do it in that movie. Yeah, you got to put the big disclaimer on that one.
yeah.
Tanner,
Yeah.
not this past Monday, but the Monday before. What a beautiful, just sidebar. What a beautiful golf course that is.
Oh, at the country club?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got go for it.
Didn't speaking of Maine basketball legends, didn't Jason Levesque hit a hole in one or something? I seen that on Instagram.
Jay on the first hole, Jason Levesque, good friend of ours, obviously grew up playing together. Well, on the first hole, he's probably 23 yards out and hold it, which I haven't seen that. I mean, I'm not a great golfer and don't play with great golfers. And so to see that was pretty cool. First of all, he was hosting me and a friend of mine that was visiting from Florida. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, sidebar, beautiful area. I love Boothbay. I haven't been able to spend enough time up there, but it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, my family's really ingrained here. We run a hardware store downtown, Grover's Hardware. It's been in business for 75 years. I'm like a fourth generation dude. My goal was to sell it and cash out. But yeah, we do go up to the country club. We're like social members, whatever. And I like going up there and doing trivia nights on Wednesdays. My two nieces that are 6 and 8, they terrorize people at the pool. So that's always a good time.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, Nick, I know you got a hard out at one, but I got one final question, and it's for each of you guys. So, I asked this to all my guests. In 2008, my grandmother passed away from lung cancer, right? And when she was on her deathbed, she said something kind of profound to me. She said, I wish that I allowed myself to eat an ice cream sundae every time I wanted one. That was her only regret in life. And, she literally meant an ice cream sundae, but I've taken it into this kind of metaphorical context. So my question to you guys is, you can answer however you want, but what is your ice cream sundae, or, what fulfills you?
Walt, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, you want me to, I mean, what fulfills me? I think I'm extremely blessed with my friends and my family. And I shouldn't even, a lot of people that I just call friends just because they just don't have the same last name, but it does not mean that they're family. Obviously, Nick is that, but that's what fulfills me. I mean, over my life, I've just had so many great relationships with so many great people that have always just guided me and just been there for me at every step of the way. During situations that I've been dealing with the last 2 years, it's really shown like just how much people really care, and really how much people are willing to put in. My kids are my most precious thing that I have on this earth. I love being around them. I try to spend as much time as I can with them, because you can't get that time back, and especially when you're dealing with loss and stuff like that, it starts to put into perspective just that you don't know your time and where you want to spend that time, and who you want to spend that time with. And I've just, like I said, I've been so blessed to spend it, and have time with Nick, obviously. Um, but some of my other friends and my family that's my ice cream Sunday, man. That's it for me, man. It's the best is being able to grill out for people, go see other people's kids, see Jade a couple days ago, and have her have an interaction with Zara and Demetrius, and that's it for me.
Well said. I mean, I think that I will say that my ice cream Sundays definitely ice cream Sundays too. Have always try
I
to
knew
eat
you were gonna say that.
definitely, but I lost my dad 2 years ago, and I think that Walt touched on it. Like time is something that you can't take for granted, and I think that it's interesting you mentioned that, Tanner, because I've always been fascinated to listen to people that are at the late stages of their lives and what they reflect on and what matters the most and any regrets they would have, because I think it kind of helps give perspective of how important it is most. I think the relationship like that is one of the blessings in my life. I mean, my daughter, having my mom, and our relationship, and Walt and my family. I think Walt and I share that, although we're not brothers by DNA. Our relationship is as strong as brothers could be. My brother, my relationship with him, uh, those are the things I look forward to, and so I'm pretty sure that there's things that stress you out and you worry about, and you're so obsessed about, whatever you're passionate about. But at the end of the day, make time to spend time with family and friends. I always says time until there is no time. And I think it's really important to have that perspective. I think that, I try to hold myself accountable to that. And life happens so fast, and and you get so, but making that time, family and friends, I think big for me. And that, along with, family around the table, great meal, finish it off with a great ice cream. To me,
Yeah, I mean, I probably do all that and throw a bottle of wine on top of there, and we're all good. Uh, yeah. Well, listen, man, it's been a pleasure to hang out with both you guys. And anything else, you want to add to this? The floor is yours.
Well, I wanna first say something to the man to my right. Well, first off, I love you. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud of the example that you set. I'm so blessed that we were able to connect and we've been able to stay such good friends. And I'm just so proud that you're about to go into this basketball Hall of Fame. Boy, I feel like just a little piece of me coming in there with you, brother. But
no,
congratulations. I'm so proud of what you've been able to accomplish, not only on the court, off the court, and the type of father that you are and the type of man that you've grown into has been amazing to see, man. I'm very thankful for that.
I appreciate that. Right back at you, how much it's definitely a team dynamic with the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, I certainly would not be in the place I am today if it wasn't for the competitive moments we had as kids. I mean, that really developed me as a player. It developed my competitive nature. It developed me as a person at that age, and it's driven me throughout my career. So the appreciation's right back. And then Tanner, man, really bringing us on for time to have us on here. A couple, continue to do everything. Keep on being good example generation and Demetrius to other kids. And anytime we get an opportunity to connect and talk about today, I think appreciate you creating a platform and giving.
Yeah. Well, hey, the pleasure is all over here. And, come December 28th, if I throw another birthday bash, know that you guys are invited, So we'll do it up.
We'll see.
Um,
I love it, man. Thank you for
all
having
right.
us, Tanner.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope you found our conversation invigorating, exciting, enlightening, inspirational, informative. Maybe it was just background noise. However you want to consume it, that's up to you. But most of all, I want to thank Walt and Nick for being a friend.
Thank you, Tanner.
Appreciate
Great.
you. Thank you, Tanner.